why India has not really produced Nobel laureates in science. I would say particularly significant in India, where many of them are looking for their personal career advancement. They want an award. They want probably the Padma Shri or the Padma Bhushan. Space, but in every region in pure science, there is tremendous potential for India. We are excessively dependent on foreign technology, which we can also, we've got the capability. We built the cryo engines in space.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Oneindia. I'm your host, Ria. And today we are diving into a topic that is as intriguing as it is thought-provoking. The elusive quest for a Nobel Prize in science by the Indian researchers. Despite the remarkable talent and innovative spirit in India, it has been sadly 94 years since an Indian scientist have won a Nobel Prize in science category. Question is, what are the factors behind this drought? And what can we do to change this narrative? So to shed some light on this vital issue, we have with us Dr. P.K. Ghosh, a distinguished space strategist and a senior researcher with extensive experience in strategic think tank. Dr. Ghosh, I welcome you and thank you for joining us on Oneindia.
It's my pleasure to be on your show and talk to all the white people that you are seeing this.
So I will not waste even a single moment because time is crucial here. My very first question to you would be, the last Indian Nobel laureate was long back, 94 years. And the prize went to Dr. C.V. Raman in the category physics, in the science category in 1930 for his work on scattering of light, which we know now as Raman effect. So what is taking so much of time for Indian science, the whole the team, or probably we can say the fraternity, the science fraternity or the scientist, to get another Nobel Prize in the scientific category?
Absolutely. The surprising thing, what you didn't mention, was that the co-founder of Raman effect, K.S. Krishnan, he didn't get the Nobel Prize, but only the great scientist Dr. C.V. Raman did. Okay. Now, there are various issues, I think, that are interlinked to why India has not really produced Nobel laureates in science. And the list is really wide, but I'll just mention a few of them. And surprisingly, of course, some of the scientists who have gone out from here, who studied from here, of Indian origin, who have managed to win Nobel Prize for Science, of course, starting with Professor Hargobind Khurana. But that's separate, that we'll come to later. Now, let's begin why. The first thing which comes to my mind is, do you know that we spend only about 0.6 to 0.8% of our GDP on science and research and development. And this is one of the lowest as far as BRICS countries are concerned. And imagine we are one of the stalwarts of the BRICS, one of the original countries. So, and in fact, our R&D investment on R&D has fallen from 0.82 to 0.66 from 2005 to 2023. So we start off with funding. That is low. Then what are the other this thing? We have got excessive bureaucracy and red tapeism, which is well known. So you try and order a new equipment and it takes ages for you to get it. So that is one aspect. These are small things, not really small, but which affect the scientific ecosystem or the environment in which a scientist works. And these are dampers. So why don't we produce big scientists? Okay. Now, we have probably the most smallest percentage of researchers compared to a vast 1.4 billion people. Now, that's really surprising. It is, I would say, I'm deeply saddened to give this, but that is the truth. The smallest number of people who do research in science. Apart from that, our entire ecosystem for scientific research is very weak. And this has, of course, been talked of ad nauseum. That is why many of our bright students who study science in India, they go abroad and do wonderfully. It's something which hurts me, but that is the truth. And of course, there are changes. I'm not saying that there are some positive changes, for example, in science. You've got ISRO and all that who are doing well. A lot of the talent is still there, space scientists, etc. But if you take the overall picture, it is, I would say, still rather bleak. Then there is lack of scientific direction as far as research is concerned. Many of us do research on outdated projects, on outdated topics, rather than things that will affect us immediately. Now, the other thing is, many of the senior people who are there, senior scientists who are there, often they are fail to give the mentorship to the juniors. Now, this is a common thing all over the world, in fact, but it is, I would say, particularly significant in India, where many of them are looking for their personal career advancement. They want an award. They want probably the Padma Shri or the Padma Bhushan. And they're looking for post-retirement benefits, when actually they should be looking at the institution and fostering the nascent talent which has come up. The other thing which strikes my mind is that dependence on foreign technology. We are excessively dependent on foreign technology, which we can also, we've got the capability. We built the cryo engines in space. When it was denied to us, the TOT was denied, the cryo engines were given, and so on and so forth. I mean, I can give a lot of more anecdotes, but that is the main idea is this. And then finally, I would also like to say that we believe a lot in mediocrity. There are so many extraneous reasons for us to choose a person, and we believe in numbers, not in quality. So research institution is quite happy to say, look, we have 10, in a certain period of time, 10 research publications, while we need one, and brilliant one. And the contrary to this is, it's ironic, we depend on individual brilliance. If one guy is good, then, so all these factors, I think, go sort of against us. And we have got to look at these aspects if we want to really advance science in India, and we want to see more Nobel Prize winners. Of course, I must also mention that there is a slight bias in choosing of Nobel Prize winners, but people will say, hey, that's sour grapes. You didn't get it, that's why you're saying this. So, I would leave it at that.
Right, sir, right. Very truly said. And you have almost covered all the points, all the primary challenges that, that Indian researchers are currently facing. But, building on that, I would want to ask you, there are a lot of collaborations that are going on, both globally and, in the country as well. So in your opinion, how crucial is these collaboration with international research organization for elevating India's scientific profile at large?
I think they are very important. For example, there's CERN. Then there's enormous amount of work that is going on in cold fusion. I'm talking of nuclear. And in so many other fields. I'm obviously not aware all the fields in which now we are trying to build up semiconductors, etc., etc. That has, of course, got a commercial angle to it. But our effort, including climate change and that technology, the scientific backup to that, environmental science. So all that is going on a global level. Now, we got to have our Indian scientists who take part in this. It is not only a question of, enhancing India's scientific stature, but it is a projection of our capability. And some of our brilliant people are coming out in these fields. The field is so vast that sometimes even I find it difficult to grasp. But a lot of the projects are there, and we have got to come up and collaborate on this for the advancement. And like I said, we have got some brilliant scientists in this. They can be part of all these projects, and I'm sure it'll not only enhance their personal stature, apart from that, of course, it'll enhance our own stature in the scientific world.
Right, sir. Right. But and as you mentioned about, the scientists who are working here, but we have seen more like a trend, I would say. Is it really a trend, or is it more like a necessity for the scientists because they're choosing to work abroad rather than choosing here in India itself? And following to that, what measures can India take to attract and retain these top scientist talents here in the country itself?
Like I said earlier, that a lot of our young talent still prefers to go abroad. And that is no secret. I mean, everybody knows this. There is. I think there is a positive change. There are some scientists who are coming back. I wouldn't say so. They've realized the potential. They have realized that the ecosystem is becoming better. Now, what steps can we take to enhance the scientific environment in India? Get better peer-reviewed journals in India. Get people to write for that. Give them better opportunities. As I mentioned, quantity is not necessarily, equal to quality. They get and give inducements to the brightest minds and select people for their merit, not necessarily in others. This is more of a social issue actually. So while in others we can have for empowerment of other people, but please choose the most brilliant guys who are there, who can support the scientific research in a particular area. Then leverage this public-private partnership. There's a lot of R&D going on in private companies. We can do that. And lastly, of course, if we strengthen our global collaboration, I think it'll be a fantastic thing. And we are doing it in space. I keep mentioning, look at space, how well we have, traveled the distance that we have. We are now one of the biggest space powers. I'm not saying that we are the biggest, but we are definitely ISRO is one of the best. So I think we got to take a leaf out of the entire system and say that, look, these are the methods, it's all evident. The only thing we have got to follow it and follow it to the T.
Right, sir. You just mentioned, in fact, I was about to bring the topic of space strategy itself. So how do you think the relationship between the space strategy and the scientific research impacts India's position in the global scientific arena? As you just mentioned, the world is talking about ISRO. So how do you see both going on together?
See, any advancement in space research is somehow or the other viewed as an advancement on the mankind's achievements in space and aspirations in space. And I think ISRO has been in the forefront of this. In fact, now, not only that, they are encouraging a lot of these startups private company startups, young, bright people who are coming out, and they are guiding them as far as technology is concerned, because many of them are not capable of getting this technology, so they're hand holding them. So we are really poised for a big leap. And not only that, I think ISRO has really been doing an excellent job, because on one hand, they are that private partnerships they are encouraging. On the other hand, they are doing their own research. And on the third, the commercial wing is achieving all these launches, satellite launches, etc., etc. If I go into that, I'll keep talking about it. But we are all seeing it. It's there in the media. So I think advancement in science, and I'm not only talking of space, but in every region in pure science, there is tremendous potential for India. And the more we get into it, the more our stature will come up. The more we write in prestigious journals, do research, vaccines. We are a superpower as far as vaccine manufacture is concerned. But I think we still got to go some way in doing research in vaccine as far as that is concerned. We are producing them. So here again, there is, some people may not like me saying that, but there is a disconnect. It's not to say that we are not doing something, but we could do much more. That's all that I'm saying. So this was evident during COVID. So I think we can go a long way on this.
Right. So, sir, if we talk about the current landscape and the current situation in the country, do you think there is any specific initiative by the scientists, by the science fraternity, that you believe could enhance the research ecosystem in India and potentially probably lead to Nobel-level discoveries?
See, there is no particular scientific thing. Like I told you, there are so many things, even in the field of nuclear science. CERN is acting, then working, then the cold fusion, and so many others. I mean, if I mention one, the others will say, hey, why you didn't mention this thing that is coming up? So I think across the spectrum, there is an entire horizon of scientific projects, research that needs to be done. And I wouldn't like to mention, though I did mention space, but like I said, all the others will say you didn't mention this particular subject or that particular subject or this particular project and not that. So all I would like to say is that the potential is vast, and in unimaginable subjects, the scientific research is going on, and it extends right from one end of the spectrum to the other in pure science, applied science. And I think it is just for us to take in, but we have got to enhance the budgetary allocation to R&D, to science, all sorts of science research, probably build more research institutions and see that they are managed well. That's the other thing. Just not build them, but manage them. And
Right.
then there is an entire horizon there.
Right, sir. As you mentioned earlier also about the percentage, the contribution in the field of research and science in our GDP is very, very significantly low. So what according to you should be a percentage to at least match a level where the other countries, who are producing or who are doing a lot of research or a lot of discoveries. So what should be that percentage if we are at such a significant low number or contribution?
1.5% of the GDP to start off with. I've already given you the statistics earlier.
Yes.
We are below, 1%. Some people say it's 1. I gave you the statistics. Now, I would say at least 1.5 to start off with, and then we can probably build it up a little more. But we must have at least 1.5% of the GDP on R&D and science.
Right, sir. We are really running short on time, sir. So I'll take one last question from you. That we have seen that several countries have successfully, produced a lot of Nobel laureates, especially in the science category. So, what lessons India should take from them or from their approaches to, move in this direction, so that in the coming years we can see another Nobel from India in the science category?
I've already said what are the measures, and it's very sad for me that some of our best, absolute brilliant minds like, J.C. Bose, Meghnad Shah, Baba, and so many, even now down the line, and I mentioned of Krishnan's name, etc., so many others have not got the Nobel Prize. One thing is, of course, and here comes the tricky bit. On one hand, there is aspiration to be recognized by the Western powers, and Nobel Prize was instituted by Alfred Nobel in 1901, and somehow or the other, it has, like I said, there are certain inherent Western biases, and not towards science Nobel, more towards the others, but it's there even in the science, this thing. But at the same time, we must prove to the world that we are having the scientific temperament, we are having the capability, we are producing, we have got absolutely brilliant minds, and with a conducive atmosphere, we about 150 Jews have won this Nobel Prize. Well, of course, 3 or 4 have got it from Israel. I'm not saying. Now, they are also brilliant minds. So they have got it. Hats off to So I think we've got to learn from them. I'm not giving it any political tinge at all. All that I'm saying is, let us go after merit. Let us encourage our youngsters. And I know and I believe that our youngsters can perform very well. Let us encourage them, and I'm sure you'll find that we won't have to wait long for another Nobel Prize.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And as you said, rightfully said, that now it's high time to probably focus more on the quality instead of quantity, the number of research that we do. Instead, we should do one brilliant research that can lead us to the next Nobel. Dr. Ghosh, thank you so very much for your insightful responses today and for joining us here on Oneindia and talking to us. And all I can say that as we continue to foster a culture of innovation and collaboration, we can hope that very soon, one day, we will celebrate together another Indian Nobel laureate in science. Thank you for joining us.
Don't miss out. Log on to oneindia.com for more updates.